Hey guys, I got a couple of questions. Somebody said, how do I made a great custom model and now I need my custom model in Reforged to work on classic mode. He said, how do I do that? He doesn't really know. It's a Reforged model, it doesn't show up on classic mode. At the same time, another guy asked me, how do I extract a classic model from Redditor Model Studio to work on it or whatever. So we're going to do both of those today. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the Footman. Okay, let's do this. It's loading up. It's loading the Footman. Here we go. Here's the Footman. We're going to take the Footman and we're going to make Footman riding on a bear. Okay, and this is pretty easy to do. You just go to, actually, let's not use Night Elf Bear. It's got a whole morphing thing. That's too complicated, okay? We're going to go to Neutral Hostile Special. That'll be good. And we'll get the Summon Bear. Oh, no, sorry. Neutral Passive Special. The Summon Bear, like Misha. Maybe just level 1 bear. Okay, and we're going to get this level 1 bear, and we're going to have a Footman riding on it. After we make it on Reforged, we're going to make it on SD, and we're going to put them both in the game on the corresponding modes. Okay, and that is just going to be straightforward and easy. So let's just import this Footman and put him on a bear. And I'm hoping for this to be really low effort because obviously we don't want to spend a lot of time on what the model actually is. Our goal is to have the same model in Classic and Reforged. So this should be pretty straightforward once my import dialog pops up. All I'm going to be doing is just linking the Footman to just do his stand animation or stand ready or something on top of the bear. Maybe he's going to do attack when the bear attacks, but mostly he's just going to do stand ready. So here you go. Here's this Footman on top of the bear. We're going to click Timescale All because that's going to try to line up as many of these as possible. And then, yeah, the bear has swim animations. I don't think we actually care about that. The other thing that can make the Footman look really good is if you actually use Stand Ready instead of Stand. So actually, let's get rid of Stand and we'll put Stand Ready on all the stands because that way he kind of looks a little bit more like he's riding something because Stand Ready, usually they're kind of like more at the ready. Other than that, like Death, a lot of these others are just going to correspondingly line up. And you probably want to try to line up the swim things, or like Slam. I get Stand Victory is good for Slam. You know, walks you could line up. The swim animations, I really don't think we probably care, but you know, you can try to line them up. You know, like Attack 2, Swim, something like that. Death could put on Death, Swim, Decay on Decay, Swim. It's something like that, right? So here's our Footman. The main key is the Footman has like bone turret over here. If you look at the parents of the bear, it looks like everything is linked to spine 1 bind joint. So just put the turret on that for the Footman. That'll be great. This is a low effort model, so we're just going to skip all the objects. Yeah, and that should be pretty good. I think visibility would mostly just leave it how it is. So we'll just click finish here. You can see now we have a Footman who should be riding on the bear, but clearly isn't. And I don't really know why that would be, but my guess would be the Footman's other nodes didn't inherit parenting onto the bear. So that's pretty easy to fix. You just toggle off the mesh, toggle off this thing, hide the children of these, sorry, just the children of these. So the nodes are themselves visible. You get 3 nodes, okay, and you right click, set parent, bear, spine joint. That should be good because now the Footman's basically riding on the bear spine. And then the key would be on all these Footman nodes, we're going to toggle them back on again, and we're going to toggle on all the Footman stuff, which is conveniently with my new code is going to be labeled as Footman down here. So that's good. You just toggle on all the Footman geometry. It's a little slow, I'm sorry, but yeah, just get all of it, right? So this is just all the stuff in the Footman. Reforged models are, you know, they've got a lot of geosets. They have like 40 geosets, so you got to make sure to select them all. Okay, great. So do that, turn the bear back on so you can see it, and put the Footman so he's standing on the back of the bear. That's pretty good, and that gets you a Footman riding on a bear reforged. And obviously I made some really stupid mistakes, like the Footman playing his walk animation and the bear's walk animation. But, you know, he plays attack during the bear's attack, and I don't really care. So the point of this example is that we have a Footman riding on a bear, and we're just going to put that in some folder, and so we can talk about what if I make the same thing. You know, I want the same thing to show up on SD. So this is Footman riding on a bear. We're going to save that as a custom model. Now we're going to make the equivalent SD model. Right now, in order to make the equivalent SD model, you need to get your Redditor Model Studio in the SD mode. And this is relevant for the users. Somebody was just asking me, he said, how do I extract SD data? The way you do it is you go to where it says HD and you delete the HD data set from your currently loaded data set and you push OK. And this should like reload the game to SD, but it doesn't because I messed up the code. So then what you do is you just close the program and then you just run it again. Now I'm running it out of a code editor, but obviously you're just going to click the exe. And it'll start up again, but this time it's in SD. So I apologize that that isn't automatic. We'll have to fix that later. But as you can see now, we're loading like the Footman SD, but we're still loading it out of my Reforged installation. We can still go to neutral hostile, or passive, excuse me. We can still go to special, and we can still go to the bear level 1. And we can still make the Footman riding on the bear because, you know, we already have them both open. You go to the Footman, you go from import workspace, import that same Footman. And you pretty much do the exact same thing we just did, right? You get the Footman, you figure out, okay, he's got a bone root. The bear probably has bone root, but maybe it doesn't. You know, maybe you want to link his root to the bear root. And that ought to do it. You know, you go to this time scale all again with the animations. Try to leave out the stands again. Stand victory, you put on attack slam just the same. Attack on attack and attack swim pretty much just the same. We'll put walk on the same as a joke again. This Footman doesn't even have stand ready, so we'll just have to use stand defend. And it's kind of like, why not? Just link that to all that and make sure you link deaths with swim, you know, decay with decay swim. So you do pretty much that same thing. You turn off the objects, right? And you say, okay, great. Now I have SD Footman riding on a bear. Except, of course, whatever mistakes I may have made. And looks like somehow we missed the animations that I thought we had. So why don't we do that again? Because I don't know what's wrong. Something didn't import correctly there. That's really interesting. Did we accidentally not timescale? Like, you know, what's keeping us there? That's pretty weird. I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, so basically the Footman should be fine, but it isn't. All we're going to do here is we're just going to toggle on all the Footman geometry that isn't the bear, and we're just going to drag that into the air because, you know, we want it to be on the back of the bear. But I don't really know why he's not like playing his animations. So we're just going to save this as Footman riding on a bear SD. Footman riding on bear SD. I don't really know why it didn't work. That's pretty weird, but I think the model should still be valid, so that should be good for us. We could try like reopening it. Maybe it'll resolve something in itself. Actually, it kind of looks like something's really wrong because it's taking so long. I'm not really sure what it's doing there. Like, why is it stuck? You know, it's pretty weird. This is the Reforged hack version. Maybe there's something not right about that. A little bit not sure. It's not supposed to take this long. So what's it doing there? What are you doing there? What are you doing there, Red Art Model Studio? It's definitely doing something. It is doing something. Not really sure what it's doing, but looks like a bug. Does look like a bug to me. Think whatever's happening shouldn't be happening. So that's just unfortunate. Really is. Let me just check that file. What's going on with that file? You know. Here's a folder. We're gonna browse this folder. We're gonna check that file. Did it actually save out or not? Because I mean, if it saved the file, maybe we don't care about what the program's doing anymore. Yeah. So no, it didn't save the file. There is no Footman riding on a bear SD. It's like resolving. It must have got stuck in some kind of infinite loop because something's really not right about that. I'm really not sure why that is at all. We could try it again. So, you know, when all else fails, right? I mean, if you just got to make it work, you got to make ends meet because we don't really care that much. For our SD version, we're just going to open the bear, and that's great. And you know, here's the bear. Sometimes you click in there, it'll keep it open while you open another model. We're going to go to the Footman. Yeah, we're going to actually just like export. Yeah, let's see, export animated to static Footman. Let's see, Warcraft models, Forge Art product. Yeah, we'll just do that. Basically then, we're just gonna open static Footman. Where's that guy? Here he is, static Footman. We're just gonna copy that. We're just gonna go to the bear. We're just gonna paste on the back here. Oh, it didn't even paste where I put my mouse. That's special. All right. So yeah, it didn't even paste where I put my mouse, but we're just gonna drag him up where he should have been all along. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. We'll put him on the back like that. And then we're gonna reassign him to the bear abdomen so that he's animated, because you know, we just want it to work. Now he's a Footman riding on a bear in SD. And so he didn't animate because apparently this program is busted on the SD models. That's not good, but you know what? We don't have time to care about that. So Footman riding on a bear SD. Better save. Okay, great, that's saved. So now you have your SD1 and your HD1. So what we want to do is we want to launch the editor, the world editor, so that we can import those in it and have it jump between one or the other based on the mode, right? So you want to do that. And obviously, it takes a little bit longer to open the editor than it used to because you have to log in to access the editor. So we're going to do that here in just a minute. Once I get through that menu to get to this menu to get to that menu to get to this menu to get the editor. Great. So now we have the editor, and now what we're going to do is we're going to import the Footman riding on a bear. And let's use it as the model for the night because it's pretty fast to do that. So we're just going to go to Reforged Art Project folder where we have Footman riding on a bear and Footman riding on a bear SD. And the key is you want to tag the HD1 as mode HD. Okay, you definitely want to do that. Then the other thing to do is remove the _HD suffix from the, or SD suffix from the SD version. What that's going to do is that's going to make it now if you go to the night and you set the model file to Footman riding on, which there's only one option, Footman riding on a bear, right? And so like now, maybe the editor doesn't understand it correctly, but really ultimately it does. So if we save this, it should be Warcraft 3 maps. Okay, Footman HD _SD _test. There you go. So it should be starting off, we're going to test this. We'll have an actual Footman and an actual bear for reference nearby. And we should be able to see how this works. So if I save this and we run this guy, right, it's gonna basically do that just like you would want. Or else maybe we'll fix it. If the game can't do it, we're gonna do it. So let's try it. Okay, I was pretty sure it was supposed to work this way. I've actually never tested it before, but I was just thinking that's how it's supposed to go. So here you go. Yeah, see, here you go. So we have Footman riding on a bear, and we have a bear, and we have a Footman. And that's great, but now if I go in the options menu and I change my map to be an SD map, right, or I play the map in the SD mode or whatever, right, here's SD mode, and you save again, and you play it in the SD mode, it's going to be a SD Footman riding on a bear, right, because we did this both ways. So you can do this the same in your map, and this should totally work. This is how custom models jump in between maps are supposed to work, and it does. So there you go. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, it didn't work. Why didn't it work though? That's pretty weird. It's definitely supposed to work. So let's go into the import manager and figure out why that didn't work, because it's definitely, or the asset manager, it's definitely supposed to work. So the SD one didn't load at all, and we don't really know why that is, because we're pretty sure that that's the one that's specified on the character. So it's at times like this that you got to think, well, maybe like Blizzard busted it, you know. So you can actually set this back to like SD. Oh yeah, it already exists. Okay, so this is here's my thought process. Let's do it ourselves manually, right? We'll just _HDW3 HDW3 mod : put that as the, okay, directory name is invalid. That's what that configuration already exists. Oh, okay. Well, let's not use a colon then. Okay, _HDW3 mod / Footman riding on a, oh, it doesn't actually let you do that. Well, here, we'll trick it. We'll use a / instead of a /. Oh, it doesn't let you do that either. Oh, really? All right, well, here's a plan B, I guess. So obviously that doesn't seem like that worked. This one's still locked up because my stupid program locked up. So then what you're going to do, if all else fails, is, yeah, here's what you do. You open Footman riding on a bear, okay, and this is your HD model you got there, right? And the textures don't load because we're in SD, Retro Model Studio mode. So what you do is you just say, to heck with it, and you convert HD to SD. Boom, now it's an SD model. Okay, so it's simpler, but it's the same model, so it still looks good. And then what you do after that is you go to the data window. Okay, this guy, and you clear it and you add your install again, so that you get back your data just like you'd want. Program files, Warcraft 3, right? Sorry, Warcraft 3. You add your data back, pick your language, pick OK, and that's going to load the textures again, which is great. So now you can save your model as bare HDSD, okay? And then the other thing you want to do is export all your textures because it's an SD model now. They need to be BLP SD thingies. So yeah, just export that to your guy. Warcraft models. Let's see. Yeah. Let's call this Footman Bear. Okay, this is a Footman Bear. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do, not PNG, BLP. Okay, so this is going to be fb1.blp. Okay, that's great. And we're going to type in here fb1.blp. Okay, great. This one we're going to export as fb2.blp. And we're going to type in here fb2.blp. Great. Okay, this one we're going to export as fb3.blp. Great, fb3.blp. This one we're going to export as fb4.blp. Okay, great. This is fb4.blp. This one we're going to export as fb5.blp. This is fb5.blp. This one we're going to export as fb6.blp. So that's fb6.blp. Great. This we're going to export as fb7.blp. I'm kidding. Don't do this. So I'll show you an alternative way that you don't have to do this afterwards, because obviously this is a joke and it's stupid. But it was the first thing that came to my mind because I want to get something that works, right? So we want to talk about what's going to work. I don't know why the other thing doesn't work. That was really silly. I really thought Blizzard would have made that work. So I'm not sure. Maybe you could put in the comments, hey, you did it wrong. It should totally work. Blizzard did it right. You did it wrong. That's probably what happened. I probably did it wrong. But I don't know what I did wrong, so we're going to try plan B. And plan B is you rename all the textures and export all the textures. So now it's just an SD model that has all of its textures, right? And so if you open this Footman on a Bear HDSD thing, now he has all his textures because they're in this folder with him. And what that means is if you put that in the game, okay, and you import this freaking model, it's going to work because it's an SD model of the HD model, right? So like it can't fail. It's going to work in all modes. So you import HDSD Bear, and then you import all these textures because you might not have the textures. You know, you might not have the textures in SD mode. They might not load because it's only SD mode. It's not HD mode, so you don't have the textures. So we're just gonna import all the textures right back into the game, and I'm gonna show you how to make HDSD Bear, right? So you can make a bear that's in all modes. That's great, but what I don't know is once you do that, well, yeah, let's take a look at that. Let's see how that goes. So I'm saving. You actually don't have to save anymore once you import a model. I think they fixed that, but I did it anyway. We're going to open this. We're going to go look at our HDSD Bear. So this is our HDSD Bear, which is, it looks how it looks in Red River Model Studio now. It doesn't actually look like, it's just based on my understanding of it as an SD model, right? It matches this preview. It doesn't actually match how HD models look normally because it's an SD model of the HD model, right? Which means, conveniently, that if you actually play the game in the SD mode, you have your SD HD model in the SD mode, so you can always have your model, right? Let's take a look at this. Let me show you how magic this is, right? Because now in SD HD mode, or whatever, I have my SD HD Bear. And so if I'm playing in SD mode, I have my SD HD Bear, and then I have my SD Bear, my SD Footman. So your model still works, right? So you can do that. That'll work fine. But obviously that's kind of really dumb, right? I imported all those textures like 16 bajillion times. So you don't want to do that. So let's go back to our backup of HDSD Bear, and let's look at the textures again, right? So these are all the texture paths. The other thing, what you actually want to do is do HDW3 mod : and if you put this in your texture paths, then my tool is going to complain and it's going to say that's a bad texture, but the game is probably going to accept it. So yeah, just put that in there. And basically this prefix, it forces HD load even in the SD mode. So what that means is Well, actually, I wonder. It might not work. So we're gonna try it. We're gonna try it, and if it doesn't work, then we'll fix it, and I'll teach you how to fix it. Because this is the first thing I'm gonna try. So basically, this makes my HDSD mode, or my HDSD model always have its textures. So we get that on there. Now the HDSD model always has its textures. So it doesn't show up in my tool, but it might show up in the game. So we're just gonna call this HDSD2, and we're gonna see, does it even, if it shows up in the editor, it'll probably show up in the game. If it doesn't show up in the editor, we're gonna have to make it a different way. So yeah, we got that. You can save the model for good measure, or save the map, excuse me, for good measure. And we'll check, does our HDSD guy show up now? If it does, HDSD2, yeah, so right now the HDSD2 one does seem to show up. So the key is, can we test that? And then we don't need these textures anymore, right? We did the same thing, but we loaded the SD equivalent of the HD textures. And I think that's valid. I think you can do that, but let's just double check it. So that'll mean that you can basically make your model work in all the modes at the cost of it doesn't really look HD anymore, except it's the same shape, right? It's like kind of the same, but not quite the same. Yeah, and that works too. So you can do this HDSD thing, right? And then you have your HDSD model that works in SD mode, because that way it'll work in all modes. Whereas I didn't really get how to, what was I doing wrong with the one that's supposed to jump between modes, right? I don't really know. If I had to guess, I would guess that there's got to be something, but I don't know what it was, right? So it's pretty weird. Oh, I think I do know what it is, actually. Now that I look at it, I think I see what it is. So the problem is that what we did conceptually works, but the editor's killing it. Notice both of these files are 6K now. One of them was supposed to be smaller. So the editor being in the HD mode broke it. So this is what you got to do, okay? This is the other alternative. Put your editor in the SD mode, and I think that's what you have to do. And then save your editor, and it has to be in the SD mode, and then close it and launch your editor again. And if you ever put it in the HD mode, it looks like it'll nuke your model. So don't ever do that. And then now, if you go back to this map, we should be able to set up what we actually expected, which is Footman Riding on a bear. This model, you replace it with Footman Riding on a bear SD, right? So it's really small. And then you make the HD version of the same model. And if you do that, HD version of the same model idea, I think it'll work if you're in the SD editor. If you're in the HD editor, the editor is just like not really well written software, and it's gonna get confused, and it's gonna save the HD model over top of both models, like in the actual map file. So like even though the concept would work that you could theoretically have both versions like that, the editor doesn't support it. So because our editor's in SD mode, now we can support it. So basically that's gonna mean, this is probably what you would actually want to do. Only ever edit the map in SD mode. Now you can see you choose Footman Riding on a bear as your character, and you test that, right? And that'll work, but then when you change to the HD mode, it'll change to HD Footman Riding on a bear, which is what you wanted all along. But as we just saw, the editor didn't support that. I didn't realize it at first that the editor coded that badly, but I've used these things a time or two before, so I get it now. So here you see I have SD guys, and if I just change mode to HD, not of the editor, but of the game, right, of playing the map. So we say, okay, I'm gonna go back to map options, and I'm gonna do HD or SD mode, right? Then this is gonna mean that when I play the map, the bear is gonna be the HD Footman Riding on a bear, because you're allowed to save that as a separate file in the SD mode, whereas in the HD mode, it overwrites both HD and SD files when it saves, just because of a bug in the editor, just because it's not very well maintained, right? So yeah, then that works, right? And then you can do that. But that's how you do it, and you need to know to never, like if you look at this map, okay, and let's talk about let's be really clear on this map, okay? I'm gonna go to this map, and I'm gonna give it a name, okay? We're gonna make it so we can find it. Footman Riding Bear. Okay, that's the name of the map, right? So let's be really clear about what this map is, because I was like saving the map all the time there, and that was really confusing. So we're gonna go to this thing, and we're gonna click play, and I'm gonna show you if I test the map not out of the editor, what does that look like? How does that affect based on my HD or SD setting, right? So let's do that, because that's really a better test. and it shows that I'm not changing the map file, which I could have been doing until now for all you know. So if I go to custom games and I want to create a map file, right? And we're going to create right here Footman Riding Bear, and we'll just make this a private game with some crazy name. The important thing is going to be in my options menu, right? Am I on classic or reforged? So right now I'm on the reforged graphics. So if I start the game, what you're going to see is you're going to see the HD Footman riding on a bear. And that's what you want to see when you're on the reforged graphics mode. And it should load up here in a second. So here you go. Here's the HD Footman riding on a bear, just like you would have wanted, right? So that's pretty good, and that's what you want. But then the other thing that you see is if I quit mission out of here, and I go back, and I leave, and I create this game again. And when I create this game, and I call it Port of Fazdiff over here, just to give it a name, you go to options, and you toggle the classic, and this is the game. Remember, this is not the map. It's the same map. It's not the same map, actually. It shows a different map. I was used to, before Reforged, when you played a map and then you click create again, it would create the same map. Remember, after Reforged, it doesn't. So we have to go and choose Footman Riding Bear again. We have to choose the same map again. That's important. All right, once you do that, you can play Footman Riding a Bear. And now I'm in the SD mode because the background looks ugly, so you know it's the SD mode. And now, when you play it, it's the Footman Riding on a Bear in SD. So we've created, essentially, this case where the model is able to auto-change from HD to SD. But what's important is, having done that, where the model changes HD to SD like that, and it looks fine in the editor, if your editor's on the HD mode, you can't do that, right? So if I say my editor's in the HD mode and I save, okay, and now I close the editor again, and I launch the editor again, and I open the map up again, okay, and this is an HD editor. I open the map up again. It loads the HD version of our guy. Now, if I save the map and I close the map, what you're going to see is the HD infects the map if your editor is an HD map, right? So now if I play it, with the editor's closed, all I did is just save the map and then open the map on HD and save the map again. And the HD editor is going to infect that map, and it's going to take away the ability for your model to load in the SD mode, right? So we're going to see that again here. That's what we were seeing before. So now, let's do our same order of tests. So first we're going to play our map in Reforged mode, and we'll see if that works, and then we'll play our map in the the classic mode, and we'll see if that works. And what you can see is Footman Riding Bear here. If I create the game, we play that again. So now we're playing like we saw in the Reforged graphics mode. And this should work, right? It'll let you do that. It'll let you play. And this should totally work because it's in sync with the editor. So that case works, right? Okay, great. So that case looks good. But what you're going to see is, even though we set this guy up really carefully in the SD editor to be able to do both modes, if I go to the options and I go back to the classic mode and I save, and then we leave and we create that same game again, do not change the map file, and we create the game on Footman Riding Bear, and you click create right there, and you start the game. What's going to happen is the Footman Riding Bear is going to disappear, and it's not going to work, and that's because we saved the map in the HD mode, and it infected our guy, so he's gone, right? So you have to be in the SD mode editor to use the import that is HD or SD compatible. And if someone else makes a map in the SD editor and you open it in the HD editor and you save it, it's going to get damaged, and your SD and HD compatible model will just become HD only, right? So remember that, okay? And that's how you do it and how you set it up, and that's key in order to do it right. Remember that. So yeah, there you go. That's your tutorial for the day. That's how that stuff works.